Greetings. It is Deidre. It is 6 o'clock, and welcome to Information with Deidre. You should be able to see me on both YouTube and Facebook. So, this is a first for me, and hopefully, everyone enjoys it. So, I'm going to open up the chat as always. This is a space where we share information. It is Mental Health Month. This is the last Tuesday of Mental Health Month. So, I will be going over what is stressing us out. Our theme is what is stressing us out. So today we're going to go over social media. Social media has been stressing us out. Um, so what about social media has been stressing us out? Well, before I get into that, as always, there's a link down in the description box. And if you are interested in coming on live and sharing the space with me to discuss what has been stressing you out related to our topic today, social media, and maybe we'll add in, some of the things we talked about before, policing, job stress, and last strong it was. I should be able to remember this: policing, job stress, and last week it was finances. So money is stressing us out. So today we're talking about social media, which can be kind of related to all of those things, right? So um, right now we're going to go over some items like how much social media do we consume? We got to start there, right? So I was doing some research, and at least like globally, we know like the population, right? There's like 7 billion people in the world. And the truth is, the majority of people are actually active on social media. So that is about it's a little over half of the people who are actually use social media networks. And of those people, of those almost 4 billion people who use social media, about 80, a little over 80% of them are actually active. So what does that mean? Well, the average person spends about 145 minutes on social media. So that's about 2 hours and 25 um, hours, 2 hours and 25 minutes, sorry, 2 hours and 25 minutes on social media, whether it be any kind of platform. And of course, some of the more popular platforms will probably have more use than others, but we're just averaging it out over all the different platforms. Shalom, sovereign needs. I'm glad you can see me and hear me. Can everybody hear me? Because I'm using a microphone. I want to make sure that all the sound is captured. I'm in a room where there's like children playing outside. I want to make sure that you hear me and not all the fun they're having. But we're going to have fun soon. So as I was saying, so the average person spends about 2 hours and 25 minutes on social media. Out of the 7 billion people that are in the world, half of them actually use social media or have accounts. And then over 80% of them are actually active. So when we do some of those little calculations, that's about so it's 4.5 billion people, and then 80 over 80% of them are active. So when we kind of round things up and down, let's just say 4 billion people. Thank you. So let's just say 4 billion people. So that means we have 4 billion people who are active. That means that's about 9 billion hours that people are spending on social media in a year. In 1 year, there's about 8,760 hours in a year. So when we average that down to how many people in the world are using social media and the average in time that they're spending on platforms, that's about 1 million years. What can you do in 1 million years? When we think about like in terms of one person, right? So let's just bring it down to one person. That's about 821 hours that we spend in 1 year on social media. That's a little over a month, probably like a month and a half. So we're spending 9% of our time in a year on social media. And it may not seem like a lot, but it is. Why? Because social media kind of puts us in this space based on like the things that are on social media, what goes viral, what's popular. It puts us in this space where it's not always that great. There is a lot of stress that is experienced from social media. So we're talking about social media stressing us out, right? So if we're spending 9% of our time doing things that stress us out, and we know that stress does something that does have long lasting effects in the body, no amount of that is good. It's kind of like how I talk about smoking. There's no amount of smoking that's good. It's not, oh, I just use one a day. It's not good. So how do we like think about some of those things? Well, first we can think about like, what are the types of things that we consume? So the popular things, some things are like fun and kind of like cat videos, dog videos, like those are always fun. Babies, everybody loves babies and animals. Those are always fun. The majority of things that we look at a lot of the time, because it's the new way to get the news, there's politics, there's health and fitness, there's lifestyle. So what about those things can, really be damaging to our psyche? So like one study showed that 37% of people reported, really feeling stressed out by watching and taking in political posts. We know the damage that comes from things like, especially lifestyle. It's like, John Q has the life I want. I don't have that life, so now I'm going to be depressed about it. Or even health and fitness. While a lot of them are really good and they can show you how to, I really think how to videos are good because it can show you how to get to that next level if that's what you want to do. But many times you'll see health and fitness and, John Q has the perfect body. Where's my perfect body? I don't have that. So now we're sitting there depressed. And we know, again, fight and flight, when that stress hormone is activated, it puts us in this space where we put our immune system in overdrive if it's active too long, right? Because the body will have a natural reaction to stress, and if it's active too long, it can really have bad effects on immunity, brain function, you name it. Like we talked about, we're walking around with messed up eyes, messed up backs, messed up bones, all things are jacked up because we're just too stressed about it. I see someone who is interested in coming in, but maybe not. I think they just left. So what we're going to do is talk about the type of media that we were talking about, the type of media to be consumed. So that is health and fitness. Again, Jane and John Q definitely have like, oh, that's the lifestyle I want. Why don't I have it? There's also the perfect life. We sit and like, how many times do we try to get like the perfect life? I can't have it. And how much stress does that give us? We're sitting wishing that we had something that it looks like someone else had, but we know that over half of all people who are on social media, they actually edit their posts. Nobody goes on like, looking all natural and things like that. It's very rare when you have something that's very curated. So what happens when we have these negative interactions or negative experiences? We have higher levels of depression, and that can really put us in a different space. Higher levels of depression. Many studies show that people who interact and engage with social media will have worse mental health. So that can be a problem for many people. At the same time, again, this is information, so I want to make sure that we're being, truthful to, all of the things. So even though we're talking about how social media can stress us out, there are benefits that we do have to acknowledge. So there's relationship building. For many people, it can actually be a connector between them, their friends, their network, their friends, and their family. For those of us who are moving around all the time, there's a lot of people who travel for work, they live remotely, and having that app or some sort of tool to be able to reach out to family and friends is actually something that keeps them connected. How many of us have WhatsApp? How many of you are connecting on Facebook? How many of you are using IG messages? How many of you are in the DMs? So those are things that we can definitely have to help keep us connected. So that is building or maintaining relationships, and when we talk about maintaining, that's the keeping connected with the friends and the family. When we're talking about building relationships, that's how you can connect with people you don't know. LinkedIn is one of the top professional social networking sites. A lot of people do use the other sites as well to network. I've had people like, check me out on Instagram. Clubhouse is a new one. So for those of you who are on Clubhouse, you can even check me out on Clubhouse, and maybe we can connect there. So social media is a connector of sorts, and so those are the benefits there. It helps to stay informed. One of the other things that I didn't go over, like the things that we take in, is that information or misinformation, or widely known as fake news, so then we have to put ourselves in the space to like deduce what's real, what's not. And even that can be stressful. Some of us are better at it, and not really letting some of those things get to us, but others are not. So many people have reported, kind of being guilty of forwarding something that, was found out later to be misinformation or fake news, whatever you want to call it. And so those are also the things we have to watch out for. At the same time, it is a good way to get news and stay current on, keep up with current events and stay on top of what's happening. So it's like when we get those negative pieces, we do have to kind of pause, sit, and figure out how we move with that information. Do we share it? Do we not? What I try to do, look into it first before you start sharing things. Overall, it has just definitely made the world small, So for some people who may not be able to travel, you can, connect with people on the other side of the globe, which is an awesome thing. So there are definitely benefits to social media. But most times, as we know, studies have demonstrated that it can have an overall negative effect, because there's that balance that we have to try to find. So like, how do we mitigate like the stress that's caused from social media? And honestly, I think diets are not enough, right? Just like with food, and we're trying to, get healthy and get fit, diets are not enough. They're just temporary. It has to be a lifestyle change. So how do you change your lifestyle so that social media is not stressing you out? And it's finding that balance as you move through, as you're scrolling. Be aware of how things make you feel and the thoughts that they provoke when you are going through. Story time. And I was asked to share this story like a while ago, and somebody else did, and I was like, oh, I don't, but I'm so embarrassed. So when it comes to being aware of how some social media posts make you feel, a popular and viral social media post was the one with the officer and the soldier, when they pulled the soldier over in the gas station, and there was that whole unnecessary interaction and engagement between the officer, and they drew their guns, and he was unarmed. He was a soldier, like I think headed to the fort or whatever. And there was the whole mixed up with his tags, but the truth was one of the officers saw it when they approached, and instead of de-escalating the situation, they allowed it to get even worse. And then they tried to, on camera, downplay it so that they wouldn't get in trouble afterwards. So it was like, I allowed that to like really infuriate me. And it was infuriating, but I am ultimately in control of how I'm going to react to that, right? Whether I have a very visceral or physical or like, reaction to it, which I did. It was just like, how many of you have started screaming at the TV or screaming at the phone? Like, this is insane. And so I had that type of reaction. And so we definitely have to be mindful of how those things make us feel and how they make how we think, as we're scrolling through, because that is how we can get kind of get in tune with ourselves on how we are engaging with social media, right? And then we can formulate our thoughts and opinions afterwards when we have like a better idea of how certain topics make us feel. So those are some things that we can do to address social media stress. So not a diet, but really like a lifestyle change that includes balance. So how much social media do you take in? So remember, average, we're taking in 2.5, and that's average. How many of us are taking in more? The average amount of time spent watching YouTube is 40 minutes. And why is that? Because most videos are actually more than that. So we're going to have YouTube videos that are a little bit longer. So that's all we have today regarding the social media. That's all we have today regarding the social media and how we mitigate that. So it's balancing out how we take in social media, and also really taking stock and taking inventory on how we feel and the thoughts that are processing as we're scrolling through or clicking through and watching videos. So that's what we have with information with Deidre today. Thank you all for watching. And if you're catching this video afterwards, I encourage you to share some of your comments or stories about stress, social media, or anything else that we've kind of discussed on mental health this month. And I'll do my best to get back to you as we move through. Peace.